Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to another preview show. And there's a lot happening this weekend. The big games keep rolling, and also do we. And of course, we're joined fresh off of his first solo episode on Late Night Football. We've got Knayha back to share some more of his wisdom. Knayha, welcome. How do you feel?
Almost feels surreal to do a first to still be capable of doing a first. So that's a proud moment, I would say. But yeah, excited
Definitely.
for what happens up front.
Yeah. Now you got to share the spotlight once again. Yeah. Once you had the taste of that spotlight, you want to share it. No, I don't know. But yeah, if you haven't checked that video, do check it out after this one. It's available on our YouTube and Facebook channels. So definitely do give it a watch out. It was pretty wonderful for a first episode. So yeah, for sure, do check it out. Share your thoughts, comments on that. Sean Dyche getting sacked by Burnley. That was what we discussed. So definitely check that one out. And also joining us, as we normally have for these big games, we've got our there's some, we call them big game players. I think we have a big game expert as well. We've got Gaurav on the show. Gaurav, welcome once again.
So it's good to be with you.
Yeah, he's beaming and smiling because City and this Champions League semi-final. So definitely, yeah, they got a big game there as well. And we're talking about City. We are going to talk about City. So let's get right to it. City against Liverpool, round 2, possibly round 2 of 3. Because we might have a trilogy, as all great things do. So we're going to have that FA Cup semi-final. Gaurav, from a City perspective, do you think they would have gained anything from the last game? Like any notes or things that they could use for this one? Do you think?
Not really, the kind of game that Liverpool played in the game. I think Liverpool normally doesn't play that way. They normally play on the front foot, but they kind of sat back and impacted the pressure Premier League. So I don't think that's going to happen. It's if you lose, you're out of the FA Cup, basically. So that's not going to happen. So maybe yes, you always know that Alexander-Arnold is kind of a weak link. So he got that in the Premier League games as well. So he targeted them as full backs. That's the only point I could see, right?
Yeah, they did target Robertson actually more than they targeted Trent actually in the last.
Actually, Pep asked for the just to stay as wide as possible. So that's going to happen probably.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, that's something maybe that is there. But connected to Gaurav's point though, when you think about it, as you said, that last game wasn't that was a must-win game for Liverpool as well, and yet they sat back. Do you see that happening again? Maybe they'll be thinking, we can soak up pressure and then counter, or do you think they will say, no, we've got to be on the front foot because we let City have too much of the game in the last one, so maybe we need to take the game more to City this time?
I think what's going to be very interesting is to see how this. It's not going to be straightforward. It's not going to be as straightforward. They will have to. It'll be a very dynamic game that, as we saw in the Premier League as well. Like the momentum shifted here, and like Liverpool with City. Yeah, but Liverpool kind of did wait. The first half, they only start coming in the second. But that's something which will not happen. I see City will feel that this is something that they can control a little more. Because with the possession, with the play, and they might, and Liverpool might just want to just press as high as possible, as much as possible as well. So, but then I could also see the opposite happening on the other side, like Liverpool, having the ball a lot, keeping the ball in a way, and then using Salah or and then Mane and the runners across to kind of get the better of City. So it's very hard to predict right now because they've already played them each other once. So and it's almost like, so just like just give a Formula 1 reference here. It's like you have qualifying and then you have the main race. So you don't show your hand in qualifying. You basically want to do better in the race. So I think if you say the Premier League game was the qualifying because they both are in that race as well, but then they have this FA Cup as well. They don't want to show the hand because eventually they might play them thrice as well in the Champions League final. Who knows? So I think it's just like round 2, and round 2 is like more strategically different. So they would want to kind of go out with something different, both teams. So in order to just kind of mentally and kind of have that advantage that they have something more left for the Champions League game if it's the final, if they reach the final. But then, yeah, I'm sure this is going to be like a very good football match to see. It could also be a very boring match to see, depending on how each takes, because Liverpool would want to win something like Premier League. It seems like they're out of that unless they drop points. We don't know. 8 games left. Don't see them dropping, but then you never know. But then Liverpool would have said, like, okay, our best chance, of course, the Champions League. I'm not disrespecting Villarreal there, but then I think they will pass through easily. So I think that this is more on what could they kind of grab now. It's more like what trophies are they playing for? How can they make the most of it? So that's going to be very interesting to watch, like how each manager perceives it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that will be something. I don't think it will be boring. I don't agree with you there. I don't think it will be boring. I think it will be very, very entertaining, as it usually is. These games, they do go that way. I just think that's the way that these two teams play. I think it just naturally is entertaining. It can't be boring, but we will see what happens. Gaurav, any injury updates for Manchester City? I know a lot of the players got injured during the Atletico game. That has to be, because I mean, all of them were falling on the floor like every 2 minutes at the end there. So I'm assuming there are a lot of injuries that they're carrying. A few of them probably are in the hospital still. No, I'm just
so De Bruyne and Walker are out. They're confirmed.
Yeah, Walker, I thought was a bad injury. Yeah, I'm sure he's out.
De Bruyne is out too. Yeah, it's Pep has basically said that's not a muscle injury. It's more of a knock, but he's supposed to be out for 10 days to 2. So it's definitely out of this game. And you might also see some players being rested. I think Cancelo has been overplayed recently, so might see him being rested as well. Maybe Foden as well.
But if you don't have Walker or Cancelo, who plays right back then though?
Stones. It will probably be Stones, Diaz, Laporte, and Ake. That's what I'm expecting.
4 centre backs across the back.
Yeah, 4 centre backs. Yeah, definitely. Because I think Pep will give the priority, to the Premier League games right now. So that's what might happen.
Yeah, well, I guess they might be playing midweek, right? So yeah, it's possible that he might have to rotate a little bit. I mean, it's because Zinchenko, he could bring him in at left back. And then you might try to play. Yeah, I guess Stones would have to play right back and maybe Zinchenko left back. I think playing 4 centre backs across the pitch, which might be conceding the initiative, but that would be.
Yeah, Ake, I'm saying this because Ake has been preferred to that left back role.
I've seen Ake play.
And he has done well. He has played well. So I expect him to. And maybe you never know. Pep might start Zinchenko as central midfield. Because Bernardo is looking kind of tired as well. So
I thought Bernardo was bad. Yeah, I thought Bernardo was pretty bad in the last game. So that's the thing. City do have a lot of options. I mean, you could play Foden in midfield as well. You could play Jack Grealish in midfield as well to make up for De Bruyne. Could play one of those two. So I mean, there's obviously options there.
I don't see them kind of struggling with the first choice there. I think it's just now up to Pep in a way to. Does he want to go crazy on rotation as what Liverpool did? Why kind of changing 7 players against Benfica? And is this his way? Is this now his time to do 7 or 10 to change the whole player playing lineup? Because
but they're playing Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool are playing Benfica. City are playing Liverpool. We can't rotate in an FA Cup semi.
No, but that's kind of the choice that I'm trying to say. It's not it's the choice that they have to take, like here.
Yeah, I don't think they will do that. I don't think they will rotate too much. I think any changes will probably be injury or fatigue related, as Gaurav pointed out. I don't see them doing that as a rotation. But we never know. With Pep, you never know how that goes. For sure. Gaurav, if you are replacing De Bruyne, who would be your choice in midfield? Who would you want to see?
Honestly, I don't see anyone who's going to replace him. But normally I would have said Bernardo
but who comes in place of him, I guess.
Normally I would have said, maybe Fernandinho, Gundogan, and Bernardo in the midfield, midfield 3. But I don't see Bernardo starting this game. So it's a very tough choice, actually. We might see Grealish starting, or maybe Foden starting, and then Jesus playing up front.
Yeah.
Not really sure. I would have played Foden.
Oh, you would
alongside Gundogan and Fernandinho. Rodri needs a rest, definitely.
No, I mean that would be the rotation will be the key aspect there. Knayha, with all and then to that point, Knayha, is that an advantage for Liverpool that they could rest players against Benfica because they didn't have to worry too much about that. Now they they have that advantage where they can bring in their first teamers for this game. Does that give them a leg up?
Absolutely. That definitely gives them a leg up. And when you don't have the same squad playing that they had in the Premier League. They've rested. They have an advantage, clear advantage there. So there is no two things about like denying that in that sense. So Liverpool will go in this game as an advantage, but then the idea will be, but it's not that the City bench is bad. That's something which you also have. Pep being there that's an advantage to any team which has like any players, like not even world class. I'm trying to say that. So he knows his players well. He knows what each can offer. And I won't be surprised even if it's like the same, like the game. It was like a very, very, very ebb and flow that we have in Premier League. So it'll be foolish to kind of underestimate City. But I won't be surprised if immediately you see a difference in class because they not have the same squad and they're tired legs and so on and so forth for City. So yeah.
Do you think Fabinho should start this game? I thought it was pretty bad in the last one against City. Would you start him or do you think just rest him? I don't know. Maybe the week, the midweek was the tonic he needed. But would you say no? Let's bring in someone else.
I think he starts in my mind. I think Fabinho will start the game because even in like that having Fabinho allows a lot more on the attacking side for Liverpool than it does when he's not playing. Like then he needs his creative players as well to kind of fall back in a way and do some defensive duties. But when Fabinho plays, then Thiago is and Curtis Jones or whoever he plays next to around in the creative midfield part, they are free to kind of go up.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Curtis Jones. I don't think it'll be Curtis Jones for this one, but I guess they'll probably stick with the same midfield. And in that case, Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson. I guess that would be.
That's the thing. I don't think Henderson starts this game in my mind. I don't think Henderson will start. I think he's going to change a little there. That's why in my mind he because I think that's what he would have like. I think Keita maybe because I think that's what he kind of felt. I felt that having two Fabinho and Henderson does not really kind of that's his best to kind of hold up. But then I don't see him kind of holding up in this game. Klopp will want to kind of get a result which favors him, so and more attacking in a way.
Yeah. Final question on this before we move on to the next one. Gaurav, there's two goals that Liverpool conceded towards the end. Now I know it was Benfica 3-1 up, they were all done. Probably that same team won't even be on the pitch at the start anyway against City. Do you think though those two goals might be a little bit of a concern for Liverpool? Like that they let in two goals after being 3-1 up. Maybe shows some defensive frailty, or do you think that's just it's 3-1 up, doesn't really matter?
I don't know, Rohit. I've been saying this for like 2 or 3 weeks now that they have that defensive issue in the season, and they are actually lucky. A lot of games which they have won 1-0 or 2-0. They have conceded a lot of chances. Even against City, I think we could have scored 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, Mahrez missed at the end, that one.
Yeah, Mahrez made. Even Sterling, offside, that was, kind of, touch and go. So, that defensive issue is there in the team. So, I'm not surprised that, Benfica scored this 2 goals. And they need to sort it out. I think they lack that, the dynamic energy in that midfield. They are lacking that this season. Fabinho hasn't been really good for like last 4 or 5 weeks. He looks tired and he looks kind of slow. Yeah. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, I guess next season that will be their plan. Will be to start refreshing the midfield because they did the attack now. The attack was aging and they've kind of refreshed it now. And I guess maybe next season will be about refreshing that midfield because I think Thiago is almost if he's not. I think Thiago is 30, Fabinho is 30, and then you've got Henderson is also 30. So. They've got that. Keita is always injured. Oxlade-Chamberlain always injured. Javi Elliott seems okay. I don't think Jones. I think from what I've heard of Liverpool fans, I don't think Curtis Jones is someone who's going to make it. So they might want 1 or 2 more midfielders there. So that would be one to watch out for as well. But score predictions time. Let's start with you, Gaurav. What do you think it's going to be? And
I think it will be
2-2 because I'm not allowed to say 2-2 this time because it can't end in a draw.
No. I think it will be 3-1 to Liverpool.
3-1 to Liverpool. Yeah. Oh my God. Gaurav got it right. Gaurav got 2-2 right last time, so he's going 3-1 Liverpool. Will Lightning strike twice again? Knayha, what do you think?
I think it's 2-0 to Liverpool.
Yeah, I think it's that fatigue factor, isn't it? It's that fatigue factor. I don't know. It seems so complicated, doesn't it? You know what? Because you guys picked Liverpool, just to be contrarian, I will say City will pull off a surprise and they'll win. I think they'll win this. I think they'll win with 1-0. And the reason why, and I'll say 1-0. This was a question that I forgot to ask actually, but I'll just mention it here, as I did at the reaction show as well. I think that 45 minutes against Atletico might just help them in this game as well, because they came through that 45 minutes in the second half and they were completely, under the cosh. They were completely, Atletico dominated them physically, mentally, everything, and yet they still stood firm and they, they came through that. They really came through that, and I think that's going to toughen them up a lot and help them.
I think we out Atletico.
Yeah, well, you could say that. Yeah, you could say that. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess so, right? Yeah, it was at least towards the end. It seemed like, well, I guess Atletico out City in the way that they play football. In those 45 minutes, and I think City out Atletico in the other side. So yeah, it almost was like City were playing like Atletico and Atletico were playing like City. So yeah, maybe they might need some Atletico style football in the second half of the game, or maybe towards the end they might need to do that. So that'll be something. But yeah, I'll go with City winning. Just to be contrary, I don't know the score, but I'll say I'll go with City winning just because you guys picked Atletico. But we'll see what happens. Saturday game, we'll be here with the reaction, of course, for that one as well once that happens. So do stay tuned on the channel for that. Remember to like our page on Facebook and of course subscribe on YouTube for that to make sure that you get notifications as soon as those videos go up. And with that, we're going to talk about the second game, the Chelsea Crystal Palace one. Almost everybody forgets this one a little bit because, I know people probably say the winner of the City Liverpool game will probably win the FA Cup. That's what most people predict. But Chelsea against Palace. Gaurav, talking about Chelsea, they lost they won against Madrid, but they lost the tie. But that performance, do you think it's going to help them in this game? The way that they played? Or they're going to think that, yes, for the first 70 minutes, 80 minutes, we had Real Madrid on the ropes? That's what you would want to look at, or would you say, well, we had it in our grasp, but then in the last 40 minutes we kind of let it slip and we let Madrid go through? How do you think mentally that result is going to impact on Chelsea?
I think it's definitely going to help them mentally. The Southampton, they played Southampton before that. I think.
Southampton 6 or 7. Yeah,
7 goals.
7. Yeah.
And this game, so they found its scoring touch again, and this is their only chance of any silverware this season. They know that the players should probably be up for that. I'm pretty sure Tuchel was, make sure that this is the only thing that we are going to win as possible. And City have struggled against Chelsea last year in Champions League and the games as well. So they know they have a good chance if they reach the finals that they can win this. So that game is definitely going to help. I think they scored a lot of goals. They have been scoring goals recently. They might need to tighten up their defense because Palace, even though they are a mid-table team, but they have been really good this season.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Palace. I mean, they're playing in the semi-finals. They really got nothing to lose at this point, and they'll be thinking, we got to win this. We win this, we got a chance at silverware. Do you think Vieira is going to go defensive? Is he going to go, I'm going to try and play on the counter? Or is he going to say, no, we play it a certain way up to this point? Because, they're one of the few teams that have stopped City from scoring. And of course, they did well against Arsenal as well when they played them recently.
Yeah, so, I think they play the Arsenal. I think they play the Arsenal squad completely. Like they just kind of repeat the same way because they will be high on confidence, like winning against Arsenal as well. And Patrick Vieira has kind of got I think he likes playing these big games. He has a knack. It's maybe because he's been a big game player as well himself, and he knows the environment and that helps the whole club. But yeah, I think I would not be surprised if there is a shock exit as well from Chelsea because
it's been a week of shock. It's been a week of shocks all around.
It's been a week of shocks, and what happened is So what's happening to Chelsea is what happened to City last season in a way. That could be a reality as well. So I think that he goes with the same squad. Like Zaha has been kind of scoring. It's been clicking. The team has been clicking. Gallagher, Mitchell, everybody, in Gaita and the whole team in the sense of defense. But then it also depends on how does Chelsea approach this game. If they go really, because Crystal Palace can easily park the bus. They can be extremely hard to break. But then they have those players who can counter immediately as well. So, but what the last game that we saw with Chelsea in the Champions League as well, like they are defensively poor right now. Like their confidence defensively is extremely poor. They are conceding goals for fun. Yeah. So that could also be a thing that could be exploited. So I think it's going to be. It's the good thing about these league games is like it's a one-on-one contest. It's like, and it just matters what happens on that day, not the 38 games that you play in the Premier League. So that's the difference, I feel. And, Crystal Palace can easily kind of focus all their energy and just on this, because I think they know they're safe. They're not going to get relegated. They're not fighting for top four. So, when you're in that kind of mood, or when the team knows where they are, they're already thinking about holiday plans and stuff. So the team needs, the manager has a great opportunity here to kind of motivate them to just kind of play one game, which gets them to a final. And then they go to Wembley. Whoever they face, that's a different thing.
They're
But
going to
then
be in Wembley. This one, the
Yeah.
semi-finals are in Wembley. But yeah, I mean, this makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I guess you've got something to fight for. Palace. I mean, even if they were in a relegation fight, I'm sure they would be up for this one.
Yeah.
And they're fighting for that. Gaurav, I guess the question, of course, this is I always wonder about this player, Wilfried Zaha, because I've always wondered, is he a good player, or is he simply a player who looks good in a very bad team? Which Palace were for a long time. They're not this season, of course. Do you think this might be his moment, sort of his match? I don't think he's played a lot of big games for Palace.
No.
So maybe now this is his moment to say, you know what, this is the stage for me, Wembley, playing here. This, I got to show everybody else what I can do, because I mean, he stayed at Palace longer than probably even he would have wanted. But maybe this is his chance to prove to everyone that I can be, I could have been, or I can be something.
Definitely. I think. Honestly, I think that is his level. Crystal Palace, or maybe he could, to a team like Leicester or West Ham. He's not made, cut to be play at the top level like United or Midfield, City or Liverpool. That is definitely his level, and maybe this is his chance, as you said, to prove it that I can play better teams. This might be, be his last chance, because I don't see him Crystal Palace fighting for top 5 or top 6 even next season, because we have lots of better teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, whatever he's going to do has to show this game.
Yeah, definitely. I think this game will be the most important one. I guess this run that they're on, try and get them to a final, time in the final might help Zaha a little bit if he can play well in these two games. But Palace no third of done. Knayha, just the final thoughts, of course, we talked about the midfield actually, Chelsea during the reaction show as well for the Champions League. Yes, we're talking about Chelsea's midfield. I know Gaurav mentioned the defensive issues. I feel that their midfield is probably a little bit more issue. Do you see any changes from the Madrid game? Do you see anybody coming in or sitting out for this one?
I would say that it'll be, he has the bench, but I don't see who. Like, that's kind of he could just play the same. He could just play. Loftus-Cheek look good. Jorginho and Kovacic, I don't think they played together. But yeah, Kante. I think he just needs to drop Kante. I think that's kind of in my mind, which is pretty strange. We're saying drop Kante, which is he's like the omnipresent everywhere. So I think he drops Kante, but then he needs to kind of shuffle there some bit a little. But yeah, it's more. I think that group defensively and the midfield, like as a pack, that hasn't performed. I don't know if there has been a miscommunication. They've not been talking, or there's a lack of communication. But it seems that the lines that they've been playing are much more wider, rather than more like compact, like each player covering each other almost. But that's not been happening. So it's a little kind of maybe out of confidence. Maybe the way they've lost games, it just kind of shook them up. But it's going to be very interesting to how Tuchel. What could also be the fact that Tuchel doesn't change anything. It'll be like we've suffered, but then they're high on motivation because they went really, really hard in that game. They could have turned that game around as well. They didn't kind of lose literally with an aggregate that they started off with. It was a very close. It was a 5-4 on aggregate, and they won the last game. It was not that team that started lost that game. They won 3-2. But they lost the aggregate. So I think I won't be able to surprise that if he just doesn't change anything and he just starts the same players, just to kind of give them 60 minutes, see where this ends, and then start subbing people off. Because I think the front three have been they showed their class in that game. Mount, Werner for a change, and Havertz as well. He didn't get on the scoreline, but I think the movement he made was pretty interesting and what would be seen. So I think it's interesting. I think Tuchel is right now is pondering on things which he would not have thought of when the season started. But then it just went still south from December, I would say. For him. Yeah. From the international break, even. Yeah.
On a final thought, Gaurav, do you go with the back four for Chelsea? Or do you go with the back three? Because they usually play with the back three. They went with the back four probably because they needed goals. Do you see them starting with the back three or back four?
A back three. I think they are good. They're defensively, they are definitely better in back three, and their fullbacks are more of wing backs than they are full. Chilwell is Chilwell fit for the game?
I don't know. I'm not sure actually, but let's check it out. I don't think he started the last game, did he? So I think he's still recovering. Ben Chilwell. Let's see what the news is about him.
Chilwell
So
is still injured.
Still injured, yeah. So then they have Alonso, right? Playing
no, he's out. He's out. Ben Chilwell is out. Yeah, as is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Is out.
Yeah.
Then they have Alonso is
So
more
Alonso,
of a
yeah.
wing back than they have. Playing a back three is definitely a safer option. I think a better option, right?
You would probably take off Loftus-Cheek, I guess. If you're going to play back three, you probably would want to take off Loftus-Cheek. So yeah, might be Kante and Kovacic again in the midfield too, and then you play back three. Score predictions. Let's start with you this time, Knayha. What do you think?
I think Crystal Palace win it 2-1.
Crystal Palace win a 2-1. That's a bold prediction, but it's a week of upsets. Gaurav?
I think 2-0 to Chelsea.
We know why Knayha has picked Crystal Palace to win, because their kids somewhat resemble another team that lost yesterday, and it's trying to be like,
no, let's not go there. Let's not go to Barca. Let's not do that. That was heartbreaking. That was like watching there was like self-destruct button for the first half.
I have a sneaky feeling Palace will win it. I just have a sneaky feeling the Palace will win it, because whoever wins that Liverpool City game is supposed to win the competition. So just have a feeling that Palace will win it. And and this is the spirit of upsets. I'll go with the Palace win as well. 2-1. So 1-0. 1-0. We'll say 1-0 to Palace. That's what it will be. I feel like that's what's going to happen, but we shall see. We shall know who wins that one. That might be difficult to call that one. So on that note, I think there's a few games in the Premier League. I don't think there's really anything much to talk about there. It's a fairly light week of Premier League action. There's no real big games at the moment that's coming up. Obviously Burnley have sacked Sean Dyche, and that might affect them as they get into this new game. They actually sacked the entire staff. So they're playing West Ham though on Sunday. Flying high, West Ham. Maybe a good time to play West Ham, Gaurav, considering all that has happened with the Europa League. They're just going to qualify. They're probably going to be on a high. Might take the eye of the ball a little bit. Probably a good time to play them.
I don't think so. I think it will be completely opposite. It's the best time for West Ham. They are through to the semi. They will ride it after the performance.
It's pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting to see after the post match of the West Ham game. They asked so it's a party, and I think Bowen and Rice were there, and they both looked at each other like, no, we're playing Burnley. we can't even think of this, because Burnley, they know Burnley is going to be tough.
Yeah, I think, to correspond, I think that's also good. It might be a good time to play Burnley as well for West Ham, because they're coming up against it. Normally Burnley are tough, but in this case, I think with the whole chaos that's going on, maybe that's the case there. So maybe this is admission from Burnley's higher ups that they are going to get relegated this season.
Yeah, exactly.
That as well. So there's lots of subplots there to follow. Of course, there's other games as well. Newcastle, Leicester. There might be again Leicester as well qualifying for the semi-finals of the Conference League. So it would be a good thing for them as well. Southampton are playing Arsenal. A good time for a good match for Arsenal to play Southampton, considering the Southampton just coming off of a real beating that they have taken, and Arsenal need a win. So maybe that's something that will play on the mind as well, that this is a good time to play Southampton.
So I think that it's the business end of the season, right? You do want to kind of not also end on not a high. All clubs right now are focusing on the next rebuild, because the next season already. So Arsenal will definitely be eyeing that win, because they're still playing for the top four in a way. But then the momentum is with Spurs. But then this just kind of gives them some cover that they've not dropped the ball completely. And Southampton is difficult to beat as well. It's not that, but then Southampton has not been at the best lately. So Arsenal would definitely kind of eye this and be like, this is our free 3 points to kind of get in a way. But then Southampton is going to make it much harder for them. And we know how Arsenal can kind of collapse. That's the thing this season, right? You don't really expect, you don't know what Arsenal you're going to get each game. But then they have been scoring. Like even the games that they're losing, it's not that they've lost without scoring. So they've scored. That's a good thing that at least that's going on with the team, and they've been riding high. like Odegaard has been performing, Saka, the linkage is still there. So I feel it's going to be a very interesting matchup. But I see the Arsenal kind of winning or getting passed through.
Yeah, they should. And of course, Spurs will play Brighton. Brighton beat Arsenal last game. So maybe Arsenal fans will be saying, yeah, Brighton, you beat us. Now, do the same, beat Spurs as well. And I know football doesn't work that way, but maybe that's what Arsenal fans will be hoping for.
They would be, but I think it's not going to happen. I think Kante has found this right balance to the team. They're playing really good. I expect them to continue that form.
Yeah. But I would assume Brighton. Yeah, I mean, Brighton have been in good form of late, but I don't see them winning. I see Spurs, I think, fairly certain now for the top 4 spots. I don't. As long as and we're talking about this, right? As long as they can win the other games, then they don't really need to worry about those 2 big games that they have coming up. So yeah. Anyway, on that note, we'll end here. I think we've covered quite a bit of ground, and of course, we're all excited for this weekend. So thank you, Gaurav, for joining the show. All the best.
United versus Norwich. Right.
I don't think it's a big game, though, to be honest, because I mean, at the end of the day, there's really not much to talk about with United Norwich. I mean, United need to win if they're gonna. I mean, I don't think there's a top 4 race on, but at the moment, it seems like the Conference League thing might also be difficult. We're talking about Conference League, not even Europa League. So those spots also probably going to be difficult with what's going on around them. So we don't even know where. So it might be difficult. Norwich, I think, are pretty much relegated at this point. I don't see them soaring. So. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that as a big game, to be honest. I don't see a lot riding on it. I would love to see maybe some rotation, but I don't know if we'll get that. But yeah, do you have any thoughts? Gaurav, do you have any thoughts on that before we wrap up?
I expect this game to turn the season around for United. I think they'll go on a streak, United, after this game. I don't know why, but I have kind of got this feeling.
There were 7 games. What kind of streak? 2 wins and 5 draws.
Maybe 7-game winning streak.
Gaurav is like, yeah. You know what, Gaurav? I will cut you some slack because your last prediction came correct. So I hope this one comes correct too. Maybe we're expecting a lot because you made a lot of predictions. But if one of your predictions has to come right this weekend, I hope it's that one. But we'll see. Yeah.
Me too.
Oh yeah, of course now you would. Yeah, because it's Liverpool, isn't it? There's a Liverpool game coming that Gaurav wants.
Yeah, of course. Now there's something to play for Manchester United to beat Liverpool.
Yeah, that is a big game actually. Yeah, that definitely. I'm sure. Hopefully, and I think that will tell us a lot about United's character because I mean they're playing against a team that's fighting for the title. You can dent their title chase. It's a rival. They should be going all out. They should be putting everything that they've got. So yeah, it'll tell us a lot.
I think if they end the season in the on the high note, United, I think it will be beneficial for next season as well. You kind of get that feeling, at the start of the season that we did well.
That's the problem, though. Then the people on top might start thinking that they did well. We don't need to buy anybody. Here we go. What do you need players for? That's okay. We can just buy you 50 or 60 million for a couple of fringe players. So yeah, I don't know. It might be good. It might be bad. I don't know what's gonna happen. But anyway, Gaurav, don't worry about United and the 7-game winning streak. You've got a big FA Cup game to focus on. So for now, just keep your eyes on that and keep your eyes on the prize. But yes, all the best for that, and hopefully you have a good weekend. Same Knayha, thank you so much for joining as well. Hope you have a good weekend as well. If you did enjoy the show, of course, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're new, do subscribe on YouTube. Please also remember to like us on Facebook. Do not follow us. Like us. Apparently Facebook prefers people who like and not follow. I don't know the difference, but that's what it is. So please do like us on Facebook. If you're already following, then do switch that over to a like as well. That would be awesome. And share your comments. What do you think about this weekend's games? And do you think there's something to watch out for? Definitely, we always love hearing your feedback as well. And of course, we'll be doing the match reactions as they happen. So stay tuned for that as well. Thank you so much. Have a good day or night, whatever time you're watching this. And we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.